What up, guys? Today I want to debunk this whole statement and belief that the Flash characters, that since they can phase through things and objects, that they can phase through anything and anyone, and that this instantly gives them an instant win against anybody. And that, like, if they're, let's say they're fighting against somebody who's super durable, all they have to do is just vibrate their molecules and then phase through their chest and then tear out their organs or whatever and kill them, or just mess up their body, and that they can phase through anything because they can shift their molecules. Now, this is not true. I've talked about this before also, and I talked about this when Death Battle did their Reverse Flash versus Goku Black fight, and they stated that Reverse Flash has a way to bypass durability by phasing into people and vibrating his molecules inside people, and that they can phase through anything. And I disagreed with that because the argument I made was from this comic book that the fact that yes, they can phase through a lot of things and they can bypass durability to a certain extent, that does not mean that they can bypass durability completely, and that does not mean that their phasing ability can phase through everything and anything, no matter how solid it is. And I pointed out in that video when I was doing the debunk on it that the problem with that is that this whole no limit fallacy about the phasing thing is the fact that yes, it can phase through a lot of things, but that does not mean it can phase through anybody, no matter how durable they are. There would still be a limit to it, and this comic book directly shows it. As Wally West, not Wally West, Barry Allen's Flash was chasing against Reverse Flash, and he was trying to fight Barthon, and Barthon basically beat him and trapped him, and then put these boots on him, and he says, "Heavy matter boots, another tribute to the 25th century. That fantastic glow you are seeming means that their iconic gravity cells have just been activated." And then he says that means that their weight is tripling itself every 2/10 of a second. As you can see, they are becoming so heavy that an ordinary matter behaves like it's a liquid by comparison, starting to sink into like a 10-ton anchor in a pool of quicksand. And forget any vibrating ideas about vibrating yourself free. The molecular structure is so dense that not even your super speed molecules can dance their way out of them. And then you see he says like, "Too bad for you," and then he's going down, and then he's basically taunting him as he's sinking down into the ground itself. And that was like the start of his like plan, and then it transitions to the next part where he's falling through the earth itself, and he says, "Forget what I said about knowing you killed your loving wife. You've only got minutes to prepare yourself for your own inglorious end." So he's basically saying that you're going to sink all the way to the bottom of the earth's core, and then you're going to end up dying there. And then you say, "Feet encased in a pair of heavy matter boots, Flash is unwilling to passenger of one trip to Earth's molten core." So yeah, he's getting dragged down to the molten core, and he's going to end up dying. And he keeps on falling, and he's trying to vibrate. He says, "Down, down, fast plunges the fastest man alive. Incalculable heavy weight of the heavy gravity boots, spearing through the layers of after layer of underground strata." So he says, "Professor Zoom is missing a trick. The molecule structure of these blasted things is so dense that there's no way I can vibrate myself out." So he's directly stating that it's too dense for him to do that. So if you're fighting against somebody who's durable, usually when they're super durable, that means their body is super dense. And the more dense it is, the harder to break through it. So yes, he can phase through dense objects and through people's like durabilities, but there's still going to be a limit to it, and he himself is acknowledging it. And the only reason he's not being crushed right here is because he can phase his top half, so the top half can phase through the earth's crust, but not his bottom half, where the boots are being literally dragging him down. He says, "Luckily, every minute presents the aura surrounds my body, carries a thin cocoon of air, allowing me enough time to last a minute or two. Already, I can feel the molten hot magma swirling around me. The tremendous heat down here is beyond belief." He's being protected from his own energy barrier, but that will only give him a few minutes. By vibrating the rest of my body, I should be able to let the most of the core's unbearable heat pass harmlessly between my molecules, but that still doesn't solve my problem. I will sink within to pay on the brakes. So he himself is also saying that the heat would kill him, which a lot of people think that he can survive stars exploding and all this other shit, but he can't. He still has he has beyond regular human durability, but he's still pretty much human, and usually he's able to handle this stuff because of his phasing ability and his powers. But yeah, he says, "But at this rate, I'll be plunging into the molten core in seconds." And then he goes And he's talking about it. The Zoom that said the boots were designed to last until they reached the core is also figured I burned into a crisp before they melted. If only I can hang there until imagination. They feel lighter and softer and looser enough for me to give them the microscopic leeway, and I need to allow my own vibrating molecules to slip out, and I did it. So what was happening now was, yes, they were dense, they were dragging him down, but he was expecting the top half of his body to be burned to a crisp, but since he was smart enough, he was phasing his top half, and that gave him enough time where the energy was the heat was phasing through his body, so his body was not being affected, and even the feet, though they were stationary, they were encased in this solid material that was protecting it until it got close to the bottom where it could not handle the heat. So it was dense, but the heat was too much for it, and it started to end up melting it. And then as it was melting it, it was pretty much like dissolving it and weakening the boots enough for him to, at the last second, vibrate his feet as it got weak enough so he can get out of it. So he did survive, but that wasn't due to just phasing through the material. The material had to be melted and basically be weakened for him to be able to do that. So I do not want to hear anybody, especially the Professor Zoom fans or the Flash fans, stating that the Flash and Zoom could just phase through these characters and phase through them and kill them. No, they cannot. They have a limit to it. These boots directly disprove that whole argument. He stated multiple times. They stated multiple times about the density of it, how heavy it was, and how it was increasing each time. And since it was increasing each time, he couldn't phase through it. So there would be a certain level. And if these boots can pretty much, prevent his phasing ability, I'm pretty sure somebody with a high level of durability, especially guys that can take planets and universes destroying, attacks, could be able to prevent him from phasing into them. That doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that it doesn't bypass durability. It does, but not to the extent that a lot of people make it out to be. So it's not a complete direct win con. That's just a no limit fallacy, which a lot of people try to make that. Oh, the Flash and Reverse Flash could literally just phase into people. They can just phase into people and just take out the organs and dismantle it and beat them that way. It's not like there's no limit to how much their phasing ability can bypass some level of durability or density. So yes, if the Reverse Flash was to fight somebody like Goku Black and try to do the phasing move, it would have no effects. He would just end up breaking his fingers as he tries to dig his hands into his chest. It wouldn't work. So there are limitations here, and I just thought that was important to point out, because the Flash does have a lot, and I mean a lot of winked feats, a lot of feats that are completely taken out of context to upscale them more than they actually are. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.